Hey, what's going on? I'm gonna live stream today how to build this simple little comment system. But first, I'm gonna go on Twitter and tell people that I'm live streaming. Let's see. I always forget how to do this. Come to my channel here. Oh, there it was right there. Share this. Grab the link. Building a comment system with logic. Tweet. Alright, that's done. Thanks for sticking by. Okay, so I got this little comment system I made the other day. I'm just going to rebuild it from scratch, show you how I did it. It's kind of cool. It's a simple little thing. Like, you're not going to use this on a huge, large-scale McDonald's website, but for a little guy like you or me, you might find it pretty useful, and you won't have to pay for any services or anything like that. It uses the Webflow CMS and logic system, so it's a fun way to get familiar with that as well. Anyways, so let's say my name is Waterboy. I don't know. I've got some water here. And I don't even know any Waterboy from the movie comments, but this is cool. Wow, what a terrible opening. Oh well. So you'd hit submit comment. It says, thank you, your submission has been received. Of course, this is the Webflow default, so you could customize that. And it's going to go into the CMS, but we need to moderate it first. So you can see I got 6 items, and this shows up as a draft. It's got the slug there. And so if users wanted to submit comments, then they could go ahead and do it, and then we might get like an email that somebody submitted a form on our website, and this would show up. Let me actually zoom in so it's actually visible, and rather than saving as draft, we can publish it, and now it's published, and we should be able to go back to our website, and there it is, Waterboy. This is cool. God, I'm really upset with myself. Anyways, we got to move on. Let's go ahead and start a new Webflow project. So I am going to shut this down, and I'll just drag this over here in case I need it for later. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with the schema. So by that I mean with our CMS collection. And we need 2 CMS collections. We need a blog posts collection because obviously we have blogs that we're putting together, and then we need a comments collection. The blog post, I'm just going to use the default template that Webflow has here, and I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to create it. This is so that we get that template page that lets us make blogs. And then I'm going to make another collection. Oh, I need to save something. Let's add 5 items. Okay, that's done. Now let's make a, come on, save. Okay. We'll call it comments. And these have a comment has a name and a slug, but it also needs an author. You can save that. And it needs, what else does it need? Let's make this a multi-line. We'll make it the body. And as I've been playing around with logic, I've noticed if you make fields required, sometimes it can cause issues and things like that. So I'm just going to make none of these required. The other thing we want is we need a page slug. So we could call this blog post slug. Maybe that's the clearest thing we can get. But we need a way to link the comment to the actual page that it belongs to. So we'll go ahead and save that. And I think I'm happy with what I need there. So we'll create the collection. And now let's go ahead and just make a new comment. So name is WebBay. Oh, no, name is, actually, these are going to be timestamps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't care what the name is right now. Author is WebBay. Let's do this. And the post slug, so I'm actually going to come over to blog posts here, and we'll put it on 5 principles of effective web design. And so we just want this line of text right there. I think it copied the whole thing, but let's come in here and paste. Nope, that's all we need. So we'll save that. And yeah, there's going to be a little bit of custom code here today. So I'll probably work for like 10-15 minutes and then take a break and see if anybody's in the chat. If it's just me talking to myself, then I will just keep building. So we've got those. Okay, let's start building out the blog page. So let's say we've got some blog posts, which we do now because we set the, what it was, we set the thing. We set the template. Okay, so let's build a section. A section has no styles with it, and then we're going to drop a div block, and this is going to be padding global. And I'll just add 1 rem on this side, 1 rem on this side, drop another div in there. This is going to be container. This gets a width of 100% and a max width of 40 rem, I guess. And auto margin on both sides. And then we're also going to add padding vertical. Oops, we want to add a div. Hey Eric, how you doing? Thanks for showing up. Padding vertical. Let me know if you have any questions. Just kind of playing around today. 2 rem on the top, 2 rem on the bottom. And let's see, so we're good there. Now we want to drop in our heading. And we'll get the heading from name. So this is our blog post heading. And now Webflow adds these defaults. I probably don't need to be doing this, but I can't help myself. I do this on every project now. So, and then also the body, we'll just change from the default Arial font to System UI. Set the default size to 1 rem and the height to 1. Cool. Okay, and now, of course, our post is going to have some post body. I don't know if I want to do this yet because I'd rather work on the comment system. So let's go ahead and delete that. And we'll chuck an H2 in here and call it comments. Okay, let's start working on the comments. Now we're going to start with a form because we need to be able to submit the comments. So let's go ahead and drop a form block in there. And let's make an even smaller comments wrapper just because it's looking a little big already. So this would be something like max width small and very similar to the container. Hey Darren. What you got for me, Darren? Loving your recent content. I recently figured out a similar setup for a simple upvote system using Logic. Happy to share if interested. Oh, sounds cool. I was thinking about that as well. Yeah, you must just like have a votes CMS collection and then like increment the counter each time somebody clicks it. This is similar. It's going to be anonymous, so like you could get tons of spam probably. But that's another like topic too, is like how like maybe we can filter it along the way. You could probably use Logic to just like, I don't think Logic does like string manipulation or anything. I built this with my own backend as well, and it can be a little bit more robust that way. But yeah, how cool. I would love to hear about it. So this would be author. This would be, oh no, we're going to use a text area here. So this is form. Let's chuck these in a form row. Just dragging and dropping. Call that form row. And so I can copy that. And this is message. And we'll get a text area instead. All right, delete that. And okay, we're good to go there. Now, what else do we need? So this is our form, and we know, let's name it. So this would be something like comment form and comment form. And we're gonna need to get some code already because Webflow doesn't offer us a way to actually access the slug of the post. So like I would love to be able to drag an embed in here and oh, we can get the slug this way actually. So let's go ahead and do it that way. I think that's what I want to do. What's that? I saw this Alex Iglesias use this the other day. I think I saw Eclipse Dev use it first, but data, we'll just define like a JSON object here. And I wonder if we just put slug, how it'll look. Yeah, let's see how that does. Yeah, look at that. No, but I was hoping it would duplicate itself, so I guess I have to do this. Slug, slug, and this probably needs to be in quotes. I bet this needs to be in quotes too. And let's publish. Oh, you know what? I'm saying const data equals, and this is not script. Let's try that. Save. Publish. let's inspect. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the slug from the page because that needs to be submitted with the form. So we'll come and inspect, and we've got this embed, got this script, and let's see if I, yeah, look at that, it's right there. So I could say something like data dot, well, in this case it says 5 principles, but I actually want that to be the name of slug. So we'll come back here, and we'll just delete this, and we'll say slug like that, and I shouldn't need these here. All right. Hey, what's up, Shane? I did this, but it's not perfect. Curious to see how you go about it. Cool. Yeah, you know, I built this out like actually quite a long time ago, and the other day I was playing around with building my own comment system with a whole like custom backend and everything, and I was like, well, let's see about doing it in Webflow again. Okay, so now we can say this data.slug, and we can get the page slug. So what I'm gonna do is, I think I'm feeling ready to see about using logic already. Thought it was gonna take me longer to get there. Okay, so let's come into logic here, and we'll create a new flow. Select a trigger. It's going to be form submission. We want to do it on the, yeah, the comment form is the one, and that's on the blog post template page. All right, go with flow. And we want to create a CMS item when that happens, and we'll name this add comment to CMS. We want to add it to comments. I'm going to go create it as draft. This gives us the opportunity to moderate it. We could also stage for publish or make it live, but we'll go ahead and leave it as draft. And let's see. The name of this thing I'm going to set to be the timestamp. This is just the name of the comment of the item within the CMS. And then the author will be from our form fields. Let's see. We have name. I should name this better. Why is that yellow? Requires a fallback. Huh. And body, we want to be, this is going to be field, but we want it to be message. Let me get out of here real quick and see about cleaning up our build a little bit first. So this is going to be author. And yeah, it'll be plain. Placeholder, I don't know, would be like your name. And text area, we'll call this body. And leave a comment. Okay, now let's go back to logic and see what it thinks. I'm just going to publish just for fun, because my guess is that logic like maybe didn't update, but we'll see. Yeah, this doesn't exist anymore. What do we get? Author is author, and body is body, and post slug. So what do we want to do here? You know what we need to do is we need to create a hidden form field. All right, Darren says, logic is useful for stuff like this. Unfortunately, it's limited by the form submissions count on site plan. Yeah, for sure. Like, we'll be limited, I think, for a site with a site plan, it's like 2,000 items for a CMS. Wish it were possible to do these kinds of things with Webflow webhooks instead. I guess maybe it kind of is. I was playing around with webhooks too. Maybe that's the next thing I'll look at. And Shane says, you're a genius. I'm making custom shirt to prove it. Thanks, man. Yeah, I had fun on our SEO audit. That was really good. Let's see. Okay, back in the zone. We are doing some work in logic. I need to create a hidden form field. So let's do that. Dun dun dun. And this is going to be our page slug, which I put in the script, but it's not going to do us any good. Well, I guess it will do us some good. Let's put it, where do we want it? I don't want it in the form row. I want it, you know what I'll do is actually, I'll just copy paste that and just bring this to the bottom. And we'll say hide. And this is going to be page slug. And let's see, it's not going to be, this we'll name it the page slug, or I think we called it blog post slug in the CMS. Blog post slug. Gotta be naming things right. That's the most important part. Blog post slug. And that is good. Now what we need to do is we need to populate this using JavaScript to make it automatically grab this value and stick it in here. So we should be able to do that pretty simply. Let's change this from data to blog post slug data, and then we'll just give it slug there. We could, I don't know why I made this an object. I think it's just because I'm used to putting more data in there in the JSON, but we're just putting one. So let's go ahead and publish. And so what we want to do now is we would say, what would we say? Blog post slug. Are we still getting that? No, where did that go? Oh, maybe I need to refresh. Let's just, I don't like having scripts inline in my HTML, but I guess that's the way we're going to do it today. Okay, so we can get this thing here, and we also need to get this field right here, which we're going to hide later, this input. And so let's go ahead and store as a global variable temp1. So essentially what we want to do is say temp1.value equals blog post slug data.data. And you should see it posted up there as undefined, of course. So what are we doing wrong? Oh, I said .data. We want .slug. There we go. So now it's populating there. So when we submit the form, it will be in there. And we can hide it and run the code in the background so nobody sees what we're doing. So we'll come back to Webflow. And should I code? Let's do code sandbox. I think we'll write enough code today that we should do it. We'll call this logic comment system. And we'll create a new file, index.js. Copy this, and let's just console.log, load, save. Copy that, come back to Webflow. On our blog post template, we're going to load this script up. Let's do script defer source equals index.js / script. Save. All right. And publish again. And Shane is asking about the new dynamic attribute. There's probably a fancy way you could do something with it. It doesn't register in my brain yet how to make that a part of my workflow. I was experimenting with it, but in general, like, I'm pretty comfortable with my workflow already. But we'll see. I'll look out for it. So thanks for asking. So we see load has come up here in console. So we know that our script is being loaded. And we know the code that we want to run. So the very first thing is we want to say, what did we say? Const slug equals blog post slug data dot slug. And then we want to get a reference to this thing here. So it's an input. What was the name? The name is blog post slug. That's unfortunate. It has this ID though. That's a good ID. So we'll say const, let me shut this down, get rid of the sidebar, and zoom in. And this will be slug input equals document.querySelector. And we're going to select the thing with the ID of blog post slug. Okay, and then we can just say slug input dot value equals slug. And now this will run every time we come to our page. So see, that is being populated there. So now I'm happy to hide this because our users don't need to see it. And now let's go back to logic and see if we can finish this flow. So we got timestamp, we got author, we got body, and then enter blog post slug. Yes, we have blog post slug right here. Uh-oh, what is Webflow angry about? To publish changes, complete all required fields in the block settings. What am I missing here? Man, this is where I get got by Webflow sometimes. Oh, it just wants a fallback. I've never seen this. This fallback, let's say anonymous. Anonymous. Blank. These are going to get moderated anyway, so who really cares? And blog post slug will be empty slug. Oh no. Because that means our code failed. Sweet. So things are all purple. And we got these green checkboxes. So let's go ahead and stage flow for publish. Stage for publish. Nope. Do I want to? I don't need to test the flow or anything. Let's make sure it works. So now we should be able to publish, right? It's staged for publish. And come back here and refresh. And this will be Shane, the G. And he says, I love dynamic attributes. Attributes. Good job, Shane. And we submit. Thank you, your submission has been received. Now let's inspect our CMS. Yes, it just went from 2 to 1. How cool. All right. If anybody's in the chat, this is when the confetti goes off and the alarms and the bows. All right. So this is a timestamp. If you aren't sure why this is a timestamp, then this is actually time since Unix epoch. Here's a fun thing for us to look at. And so this is a converter. Let's see. This will be part of the setup too. We'll turn this into a human readable date. Timestamp to human date. So Wednesday, March 29th. Yep. At whatever time. This is GMT. I'm not GMT. I'm Pacific time, but looks like it matches. So that's what that little number is when you see timestamp. The Unix epoch is what, January 1st, 1970? When is Unix epoch? Still using Google here. I should be on ChatGPT, huh? Shameful. Yeah, so January 1st, 1970, and then we're just counting the milliseconds that have passed since then. So, just kind of a fun little coding tidbit for you. If you're firmly in the no-code sphere, if you have heard of that before, then that was just a fun digression. All right, so we've got this comment, and it's saved for draft, but now say we want to publish it, so we can go ahead and publish. But we want to be able to view these comments, right? So we have, this is on 5 Principles of Effective Web Design, as is this one. So we can get out of there and drop in a CMS. Or collection list, I guess I should say. And we want this to come from comments. Now, the bummer that we're going to face here, and I want it below, is that I don't have a great way to filter these. Let's go ahead and get to that point first, though. So this is going to be the author. I'm just going to try to make it look as close to Twitter as I can, although I'm not going to try that hard. So this will be top row. And that's, I'm going to want that to have the name and the whatchamacallit, the timestamp. And we'll also drop the timestamp in there. So this would be, you could use created on, but we've got the Unix epoch as the name there. So let's go ahead and use that. I'm just going to go ahead and get this, and before I forget, update my original one. That way, when we write the code to convert that to a human readable format, it will actually make sense and not cause errors or end up in 1971. Okay, that's there. So this is going to be the body. Comment body. And we'll get this from the body there. All right, look at these beautiful comments. So the collection item, that wraps everything, so that needs some padding. Sure. And this is going to be comment author. Make this like semi-bold. And the top bar, this should have a little bit of bottom margin. Perfect. And this will be something like comment time. And now we want this to be just a little bit smaller and more muted. So we can just give it some transparency. I don't know, 80? Yeah. And let's play with the colors just a little. Come to the body. And I don't know, some sort of blue. And we'll make it just off-white so that these comment fields pop, and then also we'll make our collection items pop. Okay, and I'm not going to spend too much time styling this stuff. It's more about getting into logic and seeing what we can build with it. So there we go. Now I said we need to filter these things. So if I come to 10 great examples, another post, unfortunately these show up here as well. And within the collection list settings, normally, you could go to filter and blog post slug equals, but we can't get a dynamic value here. I would love to be able to say blog post equals current slug or something like that, but I can't do that. Is there anything else? I don't think there's anything else we can do without writing custom code. Bump, bump, bump. Bump, bump, bump. Nope, so we can't filter it. So this is kind of a funky one. We are going to need to do this programmatically, and we're also going to need to do this comment time here. So what we can do, Shane, I'm curious what you came up with here, if you're still in the chat. Let's do it this way. We know we have the slug here, and this is going to need some slug info. The comment does know about its own slug. So we'll drop this and we'll put it at the top because we're going to hide it, but we'll get the text and we'll call it the post slug. We'll just bring it up here, and we should make another one on another site just so we can test, but I guess we can do that later. Actually, let's do that now. So this is that one. I'm going to come in here and comments. I'm going to, let's see, this one here. How about this one? This one looks like it got more values on it, so we'll see what happens when we write our actual thing, when we write the code. So this is going to be 900, and this is going to be 900. Sure, whatever. Who else do we have in here? Not much. I had to refresh the page. Yeah, this one's going to require you to refresh the page as well and like moderate the code. What I would do is you could just append it into the thing below. And then when you refresh, it'll go away, but it'll come back because science. But yeah, that's the trouble with using the Webflow CMS. But if it's, like we're not building Twitter here, we're just giving people an opportunity to comment on our blog. So it's definitely one of the limitations of this setup. You could make it snap down there, but it won't be live. Like it won't subscribe to, if other people are commenting while you're commenting, their comments won't show up. You would need to use a custom backend for that. So this will be Darren. Haraf. And he says logic is useful. And the post slug. So now we want a different slug. So let's come to post slugs. And we'll do the 14 misconceptions about web design. Oh, come on. That didn't copy. Okay. We've got another comment. These timestamps are all jacked up, but hopefully we write some good code. I'll have ChatGPT to do it for us. All right, I'm gonna leave these here. I'll just call this comment slug. I don't think we've used that yet. And we'll bring it down just so we have something to see and bounce off of what we're actually doing. Oops. All right, so let's get back into the code. So no way to force a render of a section of the page without a custom backend and such. You could force a reload of the whole page. Obviously, that's not very ideal. That's a pretty crappy user experience. You could force a re-render of just the comments if you were fetching them from a different backend. These are being statically generated in the Webflow CMS and then pulled on page load. And I don't know of a way to re-render CMS items. Yeah, I don't think it's possible. without some sort of refresh of the page. Okay, so we refresh here. Now this is 5 principles of effective web design, so this one should not show up when we do that. So the way we can get there is, let's use some data attributes. Shane, this is probably where dynamic attributes might come in handy. We will call this, I don't know, WB comment, and the value, what do we have? So we could just put the slug right in there, and if the slug equals the page slug, we'll have to get the attribute. So this is comment slug, like that. I think this should work. So this dynamic attribute is now being applied to each one of these, right? Yeah, WB comment slug equals blog post slug. And so we'll loop through all those, and we'll chuck away the ones that we don't want. So this is the page slug that we're getting here. And this here we're setting, I just have slug written everywhere. Now we also want to get the const comment slug equals document.query selector. What did we call it? WB comment slug. And so that should get us all the comment slugs. We want to get all of these. And while we want those, we actually want a reference to their parent. In this case, the list item itself. So let's chuck a data attribute on there too. WB comment item. And we don't even need to give it a value. We just want the item. Just call it true for now. So yeah, we're actually going to get all of the items by saying that. So these are comment items, and then we're going to loop through those. Why am I doing it here? Let's do it below this. So comment items equals query selector, all that. And so now we'll say comment items dot for each. And this gets a function comment item. And now we're going to check, we're going to say const comment slug equals comment item dot query selector. This was, now we're going to get WB comment slug. Not an equals, just a dash there. And we want to check if comment slug equals, oh no, not comment slug. We need to get the attribute. So we'll call this the comment slug just element. And we'll say const comment slug equals comment slug element dot get attribute. And the attribute name was this one right here. So we'll just copy this. There's probably a better way to do this in one line of code, but it doesn't matter right now. And so we want to check if comment slug equals our page slug, which is up here. I feel like I should rename that. And this will be, I'm probably going to break stuff by doing this, but oh well. Sideways mustache is there, and now if this is true, then we know we want to keep it on the page. So we actually want to check when it's not true. So we'll add our exclamation point there. And then if it's not true, then we will just remove the comment item from the DOM. So we'll get that comment item that's up here, this one that we're looping through, and we can call .remove, and that should remove it. So let's see what we get. Boom, and now we have only the comments with the slug that we need. All right, Shane, you're active in the chat, my man. Had to refresh the page, not functional, so no way to force. So CMS is a static database that gets dynamically pulled to DOM based on your allocation, correct? That makes so much more sense. Well, the way you worded it doesn't make sense to me. But essentially what Webflow is doing is it's building your page on their servers, and then when somebody makes a network request to the Webflow servers where your page is built, it sends it back. So what we're doing is we're writing code client side. Um, Everything you see like FinSuite filters, a lot of these like Webflow plugins and add-ons are doing everything client side. We can't the only things we can do server side are, you know, build the actual CMS items, but we can't like programmatically do stuff on the server side unless we access the Webflow API. And the Webflow API, though, you can't tell it like this is an item that goes on the page. I'm not sure that I'm explaining this very well, but yeah, you can't do it. That's what I'm trying to say. So we accomplished this task, which is great. Let's check the other page just to be sure. 14 common misconceptions about web design. So this one has a slug that we want, so let's visit that. And you can see, boom, it was there. Now there was this flash of unstyled content, and if you know me, you know that I hate flash of unstyled content. So let's fix that real quick. It's going to be easy. What we're going to do is we're going to set the default state of this to be hidden, but then once we've run our JavaScript, we're going to set it to be visible again. So let's grab this attribute name, and we'll come over into our page settings, and in the head, we'll define some styles. And I'm going to, let's see, select via this data attribute, and we want to set the visibility, I spell this wrong every time, to hidden, and we will save. And now we'll see, like, watch, if I publish, you won't be able to see. It's gonna not show up at all, and that is expected. But now what we want to do is we want to remove that attribute from each comment item once we've checked that the slug is the right one. So right after this if statement, then we remove it, else then comment item dot, what's it called here, dot I think there's remove attribute, yeah, and we'll put that in there. And we could do that. We probably don't want to remove, we might want to make one that's like data hide or something, but this will work. So just semantics. All right, and now it's functioning. And we're not getting the flash of unstyled content, which is exactly what we were going for. Let's just double check by loading this one. Yep, so it flashes with only the ones that are there. Next thing I want to do is tackle this timestamp. That'll be fun. Let me zoom this in. Everything's got to be zoomed in when you're streaming. How long have I been going? 37 minutes? Okay, so we got that. Now there's this distance time from now. I think it's in, what's it called? Eric, I'll get to your question in 1 second. Not date functions. Well, what happens if I Google this? JavaScript library. Maybe it is date FNS. I don't think this is it though. Yeah, I guess this is it. Distance. Format distance to now, I think, is human readable. Yeah, this gives you like a nice format distance to now. So this gives you like the Twitter style of like 1 second ago, 1 minute ago, 12 minutes ago. So you could use a JavaScript library to do that, but it's a pretty simple piece of code that we can have ChatGPT write for us. So Eric says, random question, can you also use opacity 0 instead of visibility? Yes. So you could set opacity, oh, I'm in the wrong one, blog post template. You could say opacity 0 here, and then over here say something like comments item dot style dot come on now, dot opacity equals 1. I think you do it like that. Let's ask ChatGPT, what's CSS, what is the difference between opacity and visibility? Good thing I don't have to spell properly. It takes up space on the page. That's the big one. Although something with opacity 0 will also take up space on the page. So very similar. Opacity might be nice because you could animate it. So if you wanted to animate it, I'd probably go for opacity, or if I'm using GSAP, I'd use their auto alpha property, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I'm just going to use visibility today, but totally could use opacity. All right, now ChatGPT, go to work for us. Put these damn robots to work that are taking our jobs. Okay, so now I'm going to ask ChatGPT to zoom in a little bit and then say, create a function that, JavaScript function, that takes a timestamp like that and outputs a human readable time like 2 seconds ago, or 3 minutes ago, or 4 days ago. Come on, ChatGPT. All right, human readable time. It's getting the seconds. It subtracts the date from new date, gets us, well, I'll walk through this once it's done. Ah, this is worse than what it gave me the other day. Let me see. The other day it gave me this one. Sorry, I know that just wigged out. Milliseconds to readable time. And this one was pretty elegant, I thought. But let's see what it gave us. Okay, so this function takes a timestamp in milliseconds and calculates the number of seconds that have elapsed since that time. Yep, so new date, that gets us today's date, and then we can subtract timestamp from that. New date, I don't think returns a Unix, time since Unix epoch, but it can probably just do it itself. We'll see what it does. Divide by 1,000 because we're in milliseconds, so it's taking math.floor, so now we have the value in seconds. Yes, I believe it's 3.5. I'm subscribed, so I have access to 4 as well. Maybe ChatGPT 4 would do better. And then it checks if seconds is less than 5 just now. Otherwise, it returns just now. Otherwise, if it's less than 60 seconds, then it takes the number of seconds and says seconds ago. Otherwise, if it's less than an hour, I believe 3,600 seconds in an hour, right? Then it gets how many minutes it's going to be by dividing by 60. And this one must be days, and then, oh no, this is hours and then days. So timestamp, and you just give it, and then it says how many years ago. All right, let's use it. So let me zoom out just so I can see what I'm doing here. So this is our for each loop. And we're going to go ahead and do that. And we want to use human readable time, this function here. We'll do it while we're looping through each comment. If we remove it, we don't really care about it. So what we'll do is we'll just come down here and we'll run it in here. And what we want to do is we need a way to access the time. So let's come back to our project. And we'll give that a custom attribute. And we'll call this WB comment timestamp. And the value is name, because the name is actually the timestamp in this case. Publishing. So we'll say const time stamp equals comment item dot query selector, and we're going to select, no, not human readable time, WB comment timestamp, and that's not actually the timestamp, that's the element. So const timestamp equals timestamp element dot get attribute, not get animations, get attribute of the one called same one. So now we should have access to that time value, and we'll say const human readable time equals this right here. And we are going to say, we need to actually swap the time out. So we'll say timestamp element dot text content equals human readable time. And save that. And let's see what we get now. Oh. No. Come on, Leary. Why you gotta do that? What did I do? Mm, what did I get wrong? Oh, it's because these are the same value. Okay. I made these so similar. There's the variable name and the function name. So we got it right. We want to call the function name and we want a variable, but let's go ahead and call it just readable time. So what I was doing was I was putting this whole function in as the text content of the timestamp element. And that's why that's coding for you. Boom, there we go. But ChatGPT's function totally failed. I don't want 17,500 days ago. That's not even close. Although this might be one of the ones that I actually gave a really crappy timestamp for. So let's go ahead. We'll delete. We need to delete 2 comments. That should give years ago, right? Like, yeah, it doesn't give us months or days. Can you update the code to also account for months and years? This blog is going to live for years, man. All right, go ChatGPT. Let's see it. Let's see it. And meanwhile, I'm going to make sure these all have at least the same number of characters. I don't want to select. I want to cancel. Let's add 1 more 0. Three zeros, yep. And then I don't know how many zeros I need here. Hopefully that's not too many. Publish that. And let's check in on ChatGPT. Okay, now we've got years and months. And we'll just swap that out for this one here. Is that? Come here, boom. All right, 26 minutes ago. The time is actually correct now because this one was 26 minutes ago. Let's go back to our other page. And what was it, this one? Yeah. It is 26 minutes ago and 24 minutes ago. I think that's all I want to cover. It looks like we've got a working comment system. We could add like replies. I think I'm not going to nest like that users can reply to other users, but it might be nice for the website owner to be able to reply. So that would just be within the comment CMS itself. I think pretty basic to get that working, actually, not any extra logic. But I'm pretty much wrapping up. So Shane or Eric, if you guys have any questions, ask them now. Otherwise, I'm going to shut this thing down. Actually, let's clean it up just so everything looks fancy. All right, so that's looking good. And DJ Khaled, he's always asking for another comment. So your submission's been received. We'll come back here, come to the CMS. We've got a 4th comment. We can review it. This one we will. Shane, what did you think? Was this more complex or less complex than what you made? No response, just clapping of the hands. All right, so that one's there 28 seconds ago. Kind of cool there. Let's chuck in just so we have a finished something or other. I'll go ahead and hide. Actually, let's leave it on here just so if I make this clonable and people come and look, they can see what's going on. Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks for stopping in, guys. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I enjoy doing the live stuff. So, and it's nice to get questions. Hey, what's up, Heather? That's the real Bay right there. And I will talk to everybody later, but